finally got it done. It did take us a while, but I think we came up with one hell of a product. This is our new Gen V LT1 or L83 V8 conversion for the Jeep JKs and JLs. So we actually built our own motor mounts, transmission mounts, computer mount, our own PWM controller, basically the fan controller that operates the fan, that makes it go faster, slower, depending on engine temperature. Nobody seemed to have one, and we did come up with our own. We even had to come up with our own bracket to mount the controller. Our motor sits about 6 inches lower in the frame, or 6 inches lower than anybody else's. We are able to use stock drive shafts, which, as far as I know, nobody else does, and it runs fantastic. So let me kind of just point out some of the things that we did. We built our own in-house AC lines. Like I said, our own controller mount. We're able to use the stock radiator, stock shroud. Here's our computer mount, which encases the computer, the ECM, and also the TCM, transmission control module. So everything for the conversion is here. And what's cool about this is you can see there is no Chrysler computer. So the Chrysler computer is gone and everything runs with the GM computer. It does still retain the TIPM, the total integrated power module from Chrysler, but that's it. So our kit comes with engine, 8-speed transmission, transfer case clocking ring, and then we make everything else on our own. So far we've put about 500 miles on this thing. It's getting close to 21 miles to the gallon, and it absolutely hauls ass. Let me start it up here. All the factory check engine lights, everything else works the same. Fuel gauge, the speedometer, RPM, temp, the lights, everything else works just like factory. If you didn't know this thing had a conversion, you wouldn't know it by driving it. All the AC, everything works the same. Radio, obviously, power windows, power locks, factory shifter, so factory four-wheel drive shifter, and factory transmission shifter. And this now shifts the new GM 8-speed transmission. In fact, we had to make our own mount for all the cabling for the transfer case and for the transmission. So we'll do a start up here so you can kind of hear what it sounds like. So that's as loud as it sounds. Well, obviously they can sound a whole lot louder, but that's the V8. I'm gonna rev it up just a little bit so you can kind of tell the difference. So as you can see, we're still running the stock front drive shaft and the stock rear drive shaft. On the exhaust, we had to make our own Y pipe. It's all wrapped with header wrap, and we use V-band clamps wherever we clamp the exhaust together. You see how the engine sits? It sits, like I said, about 6 inches lower than anybody else's. And you know, off-road, that makes a difference. You know, the lower you can get the center of gravity, the better the thing's going to handle, especially off-road, well, on-road too. And on the transmission pan, when we built this, we actually left enough room so you could do a transmission service without having to remove anything. So we try to think of everything that we could as far as from a maintenance standpoint or a performance standpoint to make it easy to work on. But as I said earlier, it's a great drivetrain. So the 5.3 LT1 L83, the 8-speed tranny, and then we use a stock Jeep transfer case. So that way it allows us to use the stock drive shafts, no other modifications. But this thing goes down the road extremely well, and the power is just unbelievable. Okay. So this is it idling at 600 RPM with the AC on. And what's cool about the LT1, this is a 2017 to 2020 5.3. It feels, with the 8-speed, it feels the same. It feels very similar to the old 6.2, just because it keeps in the power band the whole time. But what's cool about this, from exhaust manifold to exhaust manifold, the LT1 is 28 inches wide. The 3.6 6-cylinder that came out of here was 28 inches wide. So it just fits in there like factory. We have a lot of space here, so if somebody wanted to put in a different intake, like for example the 6.2 Corvette intake fits on this very nicely, adds a little power, you can do that. If you come over here, you can service everything on both sides, so it's not like a Hemi where it's just hard to get to stuff. You can get to everything, you can get the exhaust manifolds, and it's just a great kit. If you open the hood, and again, if you didn't know what you were looking at, you think that's the way it came factory. And we worked hard to get that to happen, from the wiring to everything. All right, thanks for looking. If you have any questions, give us a call at 210-690-8080, or reach out to us online at Two Fat Guys Off-Road. Thanks.